Dear sisters and brothers, dear friends, welcome to this public session of the Conference on Christian Perspectives on Human Dignity and Human Rights. The World Council of Churches is pleased to partner with the United Evangelical Mission and the Evangelical Church of Germany in this important initiative, made even more important by the events taking place in the world these days. The focus of this public session is on human dignity and universal human rights, a common vision of churches for human rights and human rights advocacy today. In 2018, the World Council of Churches marked the 70th anniversary of its establishment in 1948. 1948 was also the year in which the foundational instrument of modern international human rights law, the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, UDHR, was adopted. The fact that the WCC and the UDHR share the same birth year is at least in part due to the same search for unity, justice, peace, and human dignity after the horrors of the Second World War. As the WCC Central Committee observed in 2018 statement adopted for the 70th anniversary of the UDHR, the ecumenical movement, and I quote, made significant contributions to the articulation of the UDHR, in particular through the early work of the Commission of the Churches on International Affairs, CCIA, notably in the drafting of UDHR Article 18 on freedom of religion of belief. End the quotation. So it could be said that international human rights law is somehow part of the WCC's DNA. However, in the same statement, the Central Committee lamented the fact that in many parts of the world today, the legitimacy of the principles and obligations expressed in international human rights law are being undermined and attacked as never before. Accordingly, the Central Committee proposed a new process of ecumenical reflection and consultation on the relationship between international human rights law and scripture, theology, and Christian ethics. The present conference is part of the response to this proposal. Look at the state of our world today. The conflict in Ukraine, the persistence of racism, and the resurgence of forms of nationalism that marginalize, exclude, and demonize the other. This and many other things show that the discussion in which we are now engaged is central and urgent. It is clear that the universal respect for human rights that the UDHR was designed to promote has not been achieved. On the contrary, nations evidently hold very different perspectives on the validity of human rights or of international law in general. Instead, it is the principle of might makes right that now seems to predominate once again. within the ecumenical movement too. Churches from different traditions, regions, and cultures express different views on human rights, and specifically on the relationship between Christian faith principles and international human rights law. So, in this time of renewed conflict, confrontation, and division, in which the lives and dignity of so many people around the world are under increasing threat, it is of utmost importance that the ecumenical movement strive for unity of understanding and approach to the protection of the God-given dignity of every human being without discrimination. I pray that through this discussion, as we approach the 11th Assembly of the World Council of Churches in Karlsruhe later this year, we will become instruments of Christ's love, moving the world to reconciliation and unity.